We've currently got 4 campervan builds on at the moment. We've got 2 Mercedes Sprinters and 2 MAN TGEs. Today we're making great progress in one of the MANs, so let's jump straight in.
By the end of today, you'll see this layout coming along, and a couple of the big ticket items are going in that will completely change how this van feels. We'll show you what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the little details that will make a big difference.
Last week we did an awful lot of work on the Mercedes Sprinter, so it's time to bring this man up to scratch. We've got the shower unit to install, the pop-top roof going on, and we've got the area above the cab liner to kit out as well.
For the first dry fit of this wet room, Stu is going to assemble the unit inside the van. He's knocking up some offcuts of corner profile to hold the unit together and test the space. He's deburring the edges to make sure there's no scratching during the fit. This corner profile is such a snug fit that to use a whole length of it would make it too difficult to separate the pieces again. So for now, these small pieces will do the job. This is a different bathroom layout for us. Our client is having a longitudinal bed, meaning they'll be sleeping front to back instead of across the van. This means we've got less room internally, so we've lost our usual bathroom basin in favour of a tip-away basin, which will fold away into the space above the toilet when it's not in use. With the toilet in situ, Stu can check that the toilet service door isn't going to be restricted by the internal pillars of the van. If anything needs to move, now would be the time.
It's always a very tight enclosed space in a bathroom in a van this size, especially in the all-wheel drive, which is why I'm kind of crouched over the way I am. We've got the added fact that in this build we've got the longitudinal bed, so usually the bathroom would be further towards the back of the van and you'd have a little bit more elbow room inside here. We've tried to keep the space as big as possible. Now we've also got a cassette toilet which takes up a little bit more room than say a compostable toilet or a bag seal toilet. The cassette toilet gives you the full bench though, it's a bit more stability. And it also gives you the option of facing the front or facing the back of the van. With a pedestal toilet, you'd be facing in towards the side. You then need to start looking at how far your bathroom encroaches into your galley. We wanted to keep this bathroom as tight to the side of the vehicle as we can, so we've gone for this model. This is the Thetford C403. So this is the model that actually taps into your freshwater tank system. They do an option of a manual fill, where it would have a tank on board the toilet for the flushable water, and you'd have to manually fill that. This connects straight onto our freshwater tank. It also connects onto a 12-volt system, so it will tell us when the cassette cartridge is full, and it will also tell us when that needs to be emptied. If it's exiting through the side of the van, then you're going to have an aperture like this. This is the service door that comes with this vehicle, and it's sized this size to fit the toilet cassette, which is essentially a big plastic box that sits underneath this toilet area. That's what's going to collect all the waste that goes in. So this is the size that we're going to cut the aperture into the side of the vehicle here, and then that cassette is going to exit through the side. With this one, we've gone for this configuration because our water system is going to be at the back. It's going to be easier for us to feed onto this. It's also, we like the placement of the door here rather than having the door further this way and the toilet in this way. So there's a few considerations, but the real key consideration that we had with the position of the toilet was the structural work of the van. So you've got pillars that run down the side, and the C pillar here, they start at the front of the van. You've got the A in the front windscreen, B, this is the C pillar. If we had the bench seat here facing backwards, that would have been right through the middle of our toilet, and that would have inhibited us from fitting this service door because you cannot cut the pillars out, otherwise you're upsetting the structural integrity of the vehicle. However, there is a small piece of metalwork inside, but it's not structural, it's just the interior piece that can be removed to fit the service door. Now at the back here, the reason we've not fitted this yet and we've not done the full fit of this shower is we're currently waiting on our basin arriving. And you get a few options for the basins in this kind of layout. We've got rid of our normal basin and we've put in this plinth which is going to house our new basin. It's going to be a flip-up basin, so you'll pull the basin, the sink part of the basin down, use the sink, and then you can tip it away, and anything that's in that will just get washed down a grey water pipe. There's a little trough at the back there. So we'll keep this in place though just now while we work on everything else. It acts as a linchpin and gives us a position for this seat, and it gives us the position for the bed and everything, because when we design the vans, we allow a certain amount of tolerance in the designs within the seating area and within the bed area. Our furniture doesn't sit tight up to everything, and because we're a bespoke builder, that then allows us to be able to maneuver things slightly back and forth. And it's quite an important thing if you're building your van that you put in these tolerances, because it gives you options when you come to the actual practical fitting of the vehicle.
There was no need for side flares on this build, so we fitted a window into the rear quarter to offer some light and ventilation whilst in bed. We're fabricating a full-length side panel and will be cutting out an aperture for the already fitted window. Johan starts by templating the back edge to align with the E-pillar at the back of the van. This pillar slopes inwards as it climbs. With this line fitting well, we'll use it as our fixed point to measure off for our window cutout. We don't like the way these cassette blind cases look, but we do think they function well in this style of build, so we cut our panels to overlap them and hide them from view. It would be much easier to just fit them on top of our panel work, but we're building for aesthetics as well as functionality. The blinds have radiused corners, so we're echoing that onto our panel. This must be Johan's first time using a compass, and he's earned himself some nice bandaged fingers, so stay safe out there. It's now time to cut out this window aperture. We use a rail saw to keep our cuts perfectly straight. Any misalignment will only be amplified once fitted with the window behind. The next step for this side panel is to add locator fixing holes. We fit all our panel work with automotive 2-part panel clips. They fit into existing factory-made holes on the van's interior and save drilling extra holes and adding an opportunity for them to corrode over time. And secondly, it allows ourselves and the client to remove these panels easily to gain access into the van's wall cavity, should there be any need for any retrofitting and repair work down the line. This small decision here will have big savings later. Now it's time to seal this panel before we fit the fabric. The owners of this MAN TGE are a family of 5, which can be a tight squeeze in a campervan. Where you fit everyone when it's time to sleep is often a difficult decision when designing a build. Often it comes down to the age and size of the children and how long you're intending to keep your camper. With young children, cab bunks can often be a good solution. It keeps everyone within the main body of the van, which is beneficial for warmth in the shoulder seasons or in cold climates. This family are planning for the future. They want a van to have longevity and work for them as their young family grows. That's why we're fitting a pop top. It will offer a full double bed big enough for adults and a convenient extra bedroom when adolescents inevitably want a bit more space. We'll also be fitting a rib bed as a secondary row bench seat to offer an internal base solution for those colder nights. We're going to make it fit within the tight space available by utilising the swivel driver's seat as part of the bed. Our swivel seats have arrived and it's time to get them in the van. We've fitted the single driver's swivel seat already, so now it's time for the double. It may look like a complicated looking contraption, but actually it's fairly easy to install. The reason for its complexity is the vehicle's fuse box is situated right in the way. We have to make some alterations to the plastic lid to allow the swivel plate to fit. Some quick marking up and cutting, and we can refit it before moving on. Our double seat has seat heaters which are fitted with a red connector block. This is going to have to be unclipped to allow the seat to spin and then reattached when returned to normal position. The base plate can be bolted to the existing floor mounts. We're not torquing them up right now because we'll be removing the seat to fit the vehicle tracker and immobilizer later. We add some grease to the swivel plate and then we can fit the lifting mechanism. This is the clever part that's going to allow the seat to be lifted above the fuse box before spinning to face the opposite way. This has an eccentric swivel plate which allows it not only to spin around but moves forwards, backwards and side to side, making it easier to maneuver in such a confined space. With that now fitted, all that's left is to install the seat back into place using the supplied fittings and tightening it up. Once installed, this is one of those upgrades that will make a massive difference on how the front of the van can be used. When both cab seats are able to turn into the living space, it instantly makes the layout feel bigger, more sociable, and far more practical for everyday use. In a van like this, every bit of usable space matters. The cab can't just be somewhere you sit while driving. It has to become part of the living area, once you're parked up. By fitting these swivels, we're effectively giving the owners extra seating without taking up any more room in the main body of the van.
So one of the issues that a lot of people have if they have 5 passengers is that the easiest solution is to have 3 people in the front with the existing cab bench and have 2 people sat behind. The issue that they face is getting this to swivel round. Now you can get existing swivels that will go underneath the seat there on most vehicles and they'll just swivel on the base plate. But with the MAN TGE and the VW Crafter, with the new shape, the fuse box is underneath this seat and it sits about that high into the base of this seat. So you can't just swivel around, otherwise everything will contact into the fuse box. There's a really clever solution for it from a company called R&J Camper Solutions. This is probably the 3rd one we've fit now. Quick and easy to install. It's quite an effective way of doing it. Essentially, you've got a bar on the inside that lifts the whole seat up, but I'm going to demonstrate that just now. The seats are fitted in with these little thumb screws. You just pull out. I have undone these a little bit beforehand just because otherwise it could be sat here for 5 minutes. So you've got 4 in the back, we've got 2 in the front. The one thing that you do have to do with these though is you have to remove the headrests. Otherwise, when you spin it around, it interferes with the shelf at the top here. So I'm just going to take these out, set them up into the dash. With them removed, we then open up the front of the seat here. Now you've got the little handles, you pull them open. And this is the mechanism that I was talking about. So you've got a big handle here, and you pull this up and it lifts the whole seat up with it, which is really clever. We then close these back over just for the purpose of swiveling it, and we can then manhandle this roundabout. Once that's in place, we open this back up and we can drop this back down and close those back over. Now with the driver's seat, you're in a little bit of a confined space here now. So we've moved the backrest forwards. There is a height adjuster on this seat as well, so we've got it just to a sweet spot where the plastics don't interfere with the swivel at the bottom and where the armrest won't interfere with the steering wheel. And once you've got that, you can then pivot the seat around. And if you want to lock these seats back into place, you can then put the screws back in and hold them solid, or you can have them loose while you're sitting and then put your seat back into a more comfortable reclined position. Now it does take some working around. They're not the easiest swivel round, it's not the smoothest thing, certainly not as smooth as a couple of single seats, but it does give you that versatility, which is key if you want to sit 5 people. It then gives you a nice comfortable seating space in the front of your van. One of the things I would say about this is they are thicker than a standard Scopima or any other aftermarket swivel. Usually you get about 40mm height added onto the height of your seat. With these it's more like 75mm. The reason for that is because this one is so high to get it over that fuse box. They then fabricate their own single one for the driver's seat at the same thickness, and the reason is just to keep these seats at the same level as each other. Otherwise you would have one that was further down, and it might be a bit odd when you're sitting facing the front, or even when you're sat here. With that extra height, however, I would say that with this configuration it's going to work out quite well. We've got the rib bed by Scopima in the back here. This is an 86cm wide double bench seat. This is also going to function as an extra bed in this vehicle. And we're going to open this seat up and it's going to fold out onto here. Now when it folds out, it's going to be roughly the same height as this seat cushion, which then allows us to utilise the base of this seat as part of this bed for the small children that are going to sleep in here. Now, this is just a standard rib, so it does come with the option of the 3 cushions. We've requested it without the rear cushion because we're going to be a little bit shorter on space because this van's got the longitudinal front to back bed, but that does allow us to have that extra space. Now, it's not going to be a large enough bed for 2 adults to sleep in, but it's certainly going to be enough to accommodate the 2 children that are going to sleep in it, and it's going to keep the versatility for the seating arrangement and for the sleeping, whilst giving them that extra room for their back bed. So we think it's a really good solution. We're happy with how it's worked out, and I'm yet to see a better solution for the spinning double seat.
So far on this MAN TGE, we've made some real solid progress. The bathroom layout is starting to take shape, the side panels are moving on, and with the swivels now fitted, you can really see how this van is beginning to function as a usable family space. What's really interesting about this build is how every decision is being made with longevity in mind. From the sleeping arrangements to the layout choices, it's all about making sure this van works just as well for this family in a few years' time as it does right now. When everything finally comes together, you go from a bare shell and a long list of jobs to a fully finished camper that feels polished, practical, and ready for adventure.